Everyone in the mansion whispered the same thing at night, that the billionaire's twins had stopped sleeping ever since their mother passed. Doctors couldn't help, specialists couldn't help, and even their grieving father had begun to lose hope. But everything changed the night the young nanny walked into their room, placed her hands gently over their blankets, and did something no one in the house, not even the billionaire himself, could have ever imagined. That night, the impossible happened. That night, the twins finally slept. And that night, the widower standing in the doorway learned a truth that would change his life forever. The rain hit the mansion windows softly the night the new nanny arrived, as though the sky itself was trying not to disturb the children inside. The Whitlock estate, famous for its towering marble pillars and sprawling gardens, looked warm from the outside, but everyone who lived within knew the truth. Ever since Elena Whitlock had passed, the house no longer felt like a home. It felt like a museum of memories, quiet, beautiful, and unbearably hollow. In the twins' bedroom at the end of the right wing, two small bodies lay curled beneath blankets, eyes wide open despite the exhaustion weighing down their lashes. Noah and Nora were only 3, but they already knew what grief felt like. They felt it every night, and every night it kept them awake. Their father, Adrian Whitlock, a man known globally for steel, finance, and a mind unmatched in business, stood helpless. For the first time, he faced something he could not control. No amount of money, power, or status could convince his children to sleep. For months, he had tried everything. Tonight, he tried something new. The doorbell chimed once, soft but echoing through the grand halls. Standing on the porch was Lena Hale, a young woman in her mid-20s, wearing a simple coat, her hair pulled neatly back, her eyes gentle but bright with a quiet confidence. The butler opened the door, but Lena barely noticed him. It was the sound she heard first, a faint, restless whimper from down the hall, the sound of a child too tired to cry and too heartbroken to rest. Lena inhaled, as though the air itself carried a story she already understood. "Miss Hale?" the butler asked. She nodded. "Mr. Whitlock is expecting you." But Lena's gaze remained on that hallway, the hallway that led to the room where two tiny souls had forgotten what peace felt like. She followed the butler through rooms adorned with chandeliers, paintings, and priceless things, though none of those treasures felt as heavy as the grief pressing on the house. At last, they reached the twins' room. Adrian stood there, shoulders broad but weighed down, beard trimmed but eyes tired. He looked like a man who had fought too many internal battles and won far too few. He didn't speak immediately. He simply watched Lena, watched the way she stepped into the room slowly, respectfully, as if entering sacred ground. Noah lay curled against Nora. Their little chests rose and fell with uneven breaths. Lena knelt beside the bed. She didn't touch them. She didn't speak to them. She simply observed, her head tilting slightly, her gaze warm and full of something unexplainable. "You can try," Adrian said, though he sounded defeated. Every professional I hired said the same thing. Every one of them left in tears. Lena didn't answer with words. Instead, she placed her hand softly on the blanket, not on the children, but on the space between them, where their tiny hands occasionally brushed. Adrian opened his mouth to say something, but he stopped. Because something was happening. The twins' breaths slowed. Their eyelids fluttered, their fingers unclenched. It was subtle at first, so subtle, Adrian thought he imagined it. Lena closed her eyes gently, as though listening to a melody no one else could hear. She whispered, softly, gently, almost like a breeze. "You are safe. You are loved. You are not alone." Noah's hand loosened, Nora's forehead relaxed. Within moments, unbelievably, impossibly, their breathing steadied into the rhythm of true sleep. For the first time in 8 months, Adrian took a step forward, stunned. "What did you do?" he whispered. Lena opened her eyes, and there was something oddly timeless in her expression. calm, serene, as if she had seen moments like this many times before. "Children don't always need answers," she said softly. "Sometimes, they just need someone who isn't afraid of their silence." Adrian exhaled, the breath shaky, filled with relief and confusion all at once. "They haven't slept through more than an hour," he murmured. "Not since." He couldn't finish. His throat tightened. Lena nodded, understanding more than he had said. "Grief doesn't scare me, Mr. Whitlock," she replied. "It's just another language, and children speak it louder than we do." Adrian felt something shift inside him, something he hadn't felt since before Lena's illness. Hope. He watched as Lena gently adjusted the blankets around the twins, her movements careful and instinctive. She seemed to possess a quiet magic, not supernatural in the wizardly sense, but in the way certain rare people do. She carried warmth with her, a calming presence, like someone who had walked through storms and learned how to guide others through theirs. When she stood, Adrian realized he hadn't blinked in nearly a minute. "You did something," he insisted softly. "Something more than soothing words." Lena hesitated, then spoke truthfully. "Some people call it intuition," she said. "Others call it a gift. I just listen with more than my ears." Adrian didn't understand completely, but he felt the sincerity behind her words. And for the first time in months, the mansion didn't feel heavy. The air felt lighter, warmer, alive. That night, the staff whispered down the halls. "They're asleep. For the first time, that woman, there's something about her." Adrian didn't join the whispers. He simply stood outside the children's room, watching through the cracked door as Lena sat quietly between the twins' beds, her hands resting gently on her lap, her eyes calm. She didn't move for hours. Not because she had to, but because she chose to. Something about her presence steadied the room, like invisible threads pulling the broken pieces into place. At midnight, Adrian brought her tea. "You don't have to stay," he whispered. "I know," she answered softly, "but they're still dreaming restlessly. I'd like to be here if they wake." Adrian nodded, feeling a strange, unfamiliar warmth settling in his chest. "Do you do this often?" he asked quietly. "Help children like this?" Lena smiled faintly, her eyes drifting to the twins. "I go where I'm needed," she said. "Not everyone believes in my methods, but children do. They always have." Adrian wanted to ask more, but something in her expression told him she wasn't ready to reveal everything yet. And oddly, he didn't mind. There was something comforting in mystery, something he hadn't allowed himself to feel since Elena. He stepped back, leaning against the doorframe. "Thank you," he whispered. Lena didn't look up. She simply nodded softly. "You're welcome." The next morning, the mansion awoke to something miraculous. The sound of giggles, tiny, bright, real giggles. Noah and Nora bounced on the bed, smiling through puffy eyes, as if they had finally found the energy that grief had stolen. Adrian entered the room, disbelief shifting into a smile. A real smile, when both twins reached out for him eagerly. "Daddy," Nora squealed. "Daddy," Noah echoed. Adrian lifted them both, tears burning behind his eyes. He looked at Lena, who stood beside the window, watching with a gentle smile. He mouthed one word, "How?" Lena simply placed her hand over her heart. Adrian didn't need more. Over the next days, the change in the home was undeniable. The mansion felt sunlit again, even on cloudy days. The staff, who had grown accustomed to hushed tones and sorrow-filled hallways, found themselves smiling at the sound of tiny footsteps racing across marble floors. The twins clung to Lena constantly. They napped easily, they ate better, they laughed, and at night, they slept. Every time, Lena was there, not because she was required to be, but because she possessed an unspoken bond with them. A resonance, a gentleness that no one else could replicate. Adrian watched quietly from doorways and hallways, as though afraid that acknowledging the miracle out loud might break it. But the miracle held. One evening, as the warm glow of the bedside lamp lit the twins' room, Lena began her soothing routine. She placed her hands lightly on their blankets, one over Noah's little belly, one beside Nora's tiny hand. She closed her eyes, and again, Adrian saw it. That strange, subtle shift in the air around her. Something peaceful radiated outward, gentle and warm, like a soft wave rolling over the bed. The twins relaxed instantly, drifting into sleep with the ease of children who finally felt safe. Adrian stepped into the room slowly. "You do something," he whispered. "I can feel it. I don't know what it is, but it feels like calm. Like the whole room settles when you're here." Lena opened her eyes, meeting his gaze. Her voice remained soft. "Does it frighten you?" "No," Adrian whispered. "It comforts me." She looked down for a moment, her expression almost shy. "Most people don't understand. They think it's odd. It's extraordinary," Adrian replied. The words slipped out before he could stop himself. Lena tensed slightly, caught off guard. Adrian exhaled slowly. "I'm sorry," he murmured. "I didn't mean to be unprofessional." Lena shook her head gently. "You're a father who loves his children," she said. There is nothing unprofessional about gratitude. But gratitude wasn't what was in his eyes now. Not entirely. He stepped closer. "You've brought life back into this house," he said quietly. "Into them, into me." Lena's breath caught, but she said nothing. Instead, she lifted her hand and placed it softly over his. A silent acknowledgement, a thank you of her own. As the weeks passed, the bond between Lena and the twins only deepened, and so did the one between her and Adrian. Not rushed, not forced, just a natural, growing warmth, like sunlight creeping slowly across a room at dawn. Adrian began finding excuses to linger near the nursery door. Lena began smiling a little longer whenever he entered a room. The staff noticed, the twins noticed, even the house itself seemed to notice. And then, one quiet evening, the truth finally surfaced. Adrian found Lena sitting alone in the garden, the twilight casting soft shadows across her face. He sat beside her, unsure if he should speak. Lena broke the silence first. "I know you have questions," she said. "I do," Adrian admitted. "But I wanted to wait until you were ready to answer them." Lena inhaled deeply. "My mother," she began quietly, "used to work in hospice care. She taught me how to sit with people who were hurting, how to listen, how to steady someone's breath with your own. She said some people are born with a calming resonance, a presence." Adrian listened intently. "And you inherited it?" Lena nodded. "I never called it a gift. I just help where I can." Adrian turned toward her, his expression softening with understanding. "You didn't just help them," he said. "You saved them." Lena looked down at her hands, hands that had soothed countless sleepless nights. "I didn't save them," she whispered. "I reminded them what peace feels like." Adrian swallowed hard. "And you reminded me too." Their eyes met. Something unspoken passed between them. Something delicate, new, fragile. A beginning. That night, as the twins slept peacefully, Adrian stood in the doorway again, just like the first night Lena arrived. But this time, he didn't watch the twins. He watched her. Lena sat between the small beds, her presence gentle, steady, serene. Adrian stepped into the room, his heart full. "You're part of this family now," he said softly. Lena looked up, startled, touched. "Adrian, it's not a job anymore," he whispered. "It's a home." Her eyes glistened, and for the first time since she arrived, Lena allowed herself to believe it, allowed herself to belong, allowed herself to feel the thing she had been afraid of feeling. Hope. That night, in the soft glow of the lamp, as Adrian watched Lena tuck the twins in, he realized something quietly, profoundly life-changing. This woman, this gentle soul with the calming touch, with the strange gift, with the warm presence, had done something unthinkable. She hadn't just put the twins to sleep. She had awakened the entire house.